Good morning, sun people. It is 39 degrees and cloudy and raining here in the Love State. We're coming to you again here on Anchor by Spotify. This is Seth Moore coming to you. Again, we're going to be today reviewing and following up on the discussion that we've had a day or so ago, talking about that black DNA and the elevation of our higher self. How we're going to start out today, we're going to take a moment briefly. And if you're sitting, if you're not sitting, just take a moment out, just for 1 minute. Grab a seat. And I want you to inhale and exhale just for 1 minute. Just let your mind go. Just breathe in. And hold it for a moment and then exhale. Not allowing your mind to drift on one particular thing, but just being in the moment. Okay. So we're going to go on, and hopefully today, or any day for that matter, we won't find ourselves in a Therian position where it hampers us spiritually from reaching our higher self. And you're going to keep hearing me say some of the same things because it's important that I continue to reiterate just how serious it really is that you become your total self. And I only say this because I care. And everything else I say is out of care. It's out of love. It's out of compassion. So we're going to continue to talk about, and I'm going to give you some other things, of course. Simeon Toko, as we were talking about the Black Jesus of Africa who experienced the God qualities and what actually was being done to him because the Kobal did not want this higher energy to be manifested. And how that this supernatural power is within every one of us. of the melanated source, and how that you are robbed of who you really are. And there's a concerted effort to keep you from your God self. And so this is why I mentioned the Therian effect, meaning that you and anybody who does not allow their higher consciousness to be elevated will be subjugated to the Therian effect, meaning that your higher idiom of who you really are will become in a beast functioning fashion. So you'll really be operating out of something other than what you are. And you won't even realize it. You won't even realize it. Because you'll begin to believe that is normal. And so that's why whatever you watch, whatever you see, however you function, a lot of that is done out of whatever your perception is. Your perception of reality. Your perception of how the universe works, or how it should work according to your perception. And oftentimes, our perception and the perception that we have is deceptive, because you're operating again out of the Etherian effect. You see and you perceive exactly what they want you to see and perceive, because it is actually done through programming, mind manipulation, and propaganda. So an example would be, they'll play, or you'll see a commercial over and over again, because they want you to develop a certain perception about the reality that you're living in. And this comes in many different forms. And this is why people have the type of habits that they have. And I'll give you another example. Another example would be, let's look at our children. All the kids like Michael Jordans. So the perception is that if you don't have a pair of Michael Jordans on your feet, you're not cool, or you're not with the in crowd. If you come with a different pair of tennis shoes and all your buddies have on Jordans, somehow there's something wrong with you. Because the perception is, if you have on Jordans, or if you carry a Louis bag, or a Michael Kors bag, or Prada, or Gucci, then somehow, perceptionally and mentally, you are here at this height. That's only the perception. That's what they make you think. So it makes you feel a certain way, and it's a false perception. Rather than you being, and you've already self-attained who you are through knowing what you are. Do you follow me? So your perception should be no one else's. And then it should not be predicated on what has been deemed the norm. Because it means that then you're following a trend. So we're going to move on. I want to continue with where we left off, and as always, we're talking about Fatima and the power of this Black Messiah, and we're going to have many segments of this, because I'm going to tie some other things in that brings to life some other things within paradigm of this story, and how it's going to hopefully it's going to empower you. It's going to empower you. And that's what I'm here for. See, because we have to overstand and understand that our spiritual life, I can't stress this enough, is the ultimate. If you actually know what is going on right now and where we are in the universe, you would, with everything that's within you, gravitate toward your higher self. And a lot of you might be asking, maybe like, okay, brother, I want to do that. How do I do that? How do I do that? First things, you have to begin to align your mental, your emotional, and your subconscious. What you think, what you feel, and what's coming from your subconscious, and what you say. They all have to be in alignment. So you want to feel good. You want to feel good. You want to feel good. You want to think correctly so that your energy stays high. And I'm not talking about being hyper, but I'm talking about positive vibrational energy that you take in the universe at such a high frequency that you appreciate, you're so grateful. You're so grateful for the trees and the birds and the air and the flowers and the sky and just knowing that God is in you, or the Creator is in you, and you emanate His creative power. And so this is when I was talking about the other day, the works that we'll do, and how that we're so powerful, and how that we're clothed with power, miraculous power. And this power is being manifested, and this power for some of us is soon to be manifested in a great way. And what is required is you have to begin to gravitate and begin to grasp this whole spiritual life now like you never have before. And there are requirements that you have to do. Care is one of the big ones. Because if you care, you love, right? Your thinking, your emotions, what you say, all alignment. And so this is why they do everything they do to keep you off balance. There's so much that's thrown at us every day through the TV, through work, through movies. You have to be able to process it and process it right. You can't become toxic or contaminated with the world's stuff. See, because when you become so toxic with the world's stuff, you're dull. Your pineal gland is calcified by your thinking, it's calcified by the foods you eat, it's calcified by how you act, your emotions, your vibrational energy is calcified by all those things because you're not taking in the right energy. Even a lot of times, you could be saying a lot of things, But those things don't carry no power. They don't carry any weight because the requirements that are required for those things to manifest are not being done. They're not being done. And so it's so important that for manifestation to actually become tangible, spiritual manifestation. See, because everything that you're being taught a lot of times is about producing a material manifestation rather than a spiritual manifestation. And so you get caught up in wanting to see a material manifestation that doesn't carry any spiritual weight or spiritual significance that actually makes your essence better. You follow me? So why have a manifestation if it's not changing the whole diagram, if it's not changing everything that's around you? And so this is where mentally the mind becomes tricked, because you become tricked in wanting to see a manifestation other than the higher manifestation of who you are. So you substitute and settle for a material manifestation when not realizing all the time that everything you want to manifest on a material plane, on a material level, you already have within your grasp. But what's required is the first manifestation of spirituality that produces all the other stuff. When you are in perfect alignment, those things do manifest. But it can't be your core center of desire. Your core center of desire has to be the higher manifestation of who you are to produce the other manifestations that you already have within your essence. Let me read this. And again, we're going to be coming back again with these information that we've given you just a day ago. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do, because in the other podcasts, some of this you already got, and I may come back and read some of it again, so that if you didn't get all of it, I'll go over it again. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so finally, the man was told that they had given up. He was far too powerful. There was nothing they could do to stop him, and they were going to surrender. They invited him to a major world summit and told him they would reveal him to all of humanity so he could share his message. But as you know, the cabal, had a plot and a plan to destroy him. So if you listen to the other podcast, you know where this is going. You know what they did. You know what he did prior to this actually happening. He was brought on board a military transport aircraft. Once airborne, he was shot repeatedly. His body was divided into many different sections, each of which was stored in a super high-tech energy shielded container. Now, what they did, as you probably can figure out, when he got on this military aircraft, because this was actually, even the Pope had two of his emissaries come to meet this man because they wanted to know who he was. Okay? And so when they got him on this military aircraft, of course, he was repeatedly shot. And they had this, like a meat grinder apparatus on this plane. So they cut up this man's body and put it through this meat grinder. So I'll read on. As it says, where his body was divided into many different sections, each of which was stored in a super high-tech energy shielded container. Jet aircraft rushed up to the plane in sequence and scrambled the containers all over the earth. So once they did what they did, they put his body parts in these containers, right? And so what they was going to do, they was going to spread his body parts all around the earth, the planet. So because they had actually two jet fighters that were alongside of this military, like one of those really, huge aircraft that they put tanks and all that kind of stuff on. So he was on one of those, okay? And they wanted to make sure that they got rid of him, because the cabal could not deal with anybody with this type of, superhuman power, likened to the Creator, Yeshua, Jesus, So this is what they did. Shielded the containers, the jet aircraft rushed up to the plane in sequence and scrambled the containers all over the earth as far as possible. The contents were then thoroughly and completely destroyed. It was hoped that this would prevent him from being able to regenerate himself, as you listened in the earlier podcasts. After this was done, the man materialized. Listen to this. Listen to this, y'all. The man materialized directly into the offices of the people who had ordered his murder. So he regenerated himself again. This wasn't the first time they tried to kill him. He regenerated himself, after which they spreaded his parts, cut him up, shot him up, and put his body parts and spread it all around the planet. This man, he was able to regenerate himself and appear right back before them. Okay? And we're going to hear what he said. Okay, so let me okay. It said, so they will prevent him from being able to regenerate himself. And after this was done, the man materialized directly into the offices of the people who had ordered his murder. There were no visible signs of damage to his body. Now think about that. This is what happened. And this is what's going to happen with us, where it talks about being changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye. And as I mentioned before, I want you to understand and understand that it's not about being a Christian. It's more about understanding and properly interpreting what your higher self is. So what's required of you? What's required of you is you reaching and knowing your higher God self. Somebody gives you something, it's a gift. You accept the gift, you have to know what the gift is for. If you don't understand what the gift is for, you don't know how to properly use it. So this man appeared before them. And as it said, he appeared before them intact. Okay, he appeared before them and they were astounded. There were no visible signs of damage to his body. He said, your desire to prevent me, this is what he said when he appeared before them. He said, your desire to prevent me from living on earth is so strong that I am forced to honor it. He said, I'll honor it. He said, for now. He said, for now. He said, I will be leaving you shortly. However, in the future, many more people will develop abilities just like me. Once that happens, you will no longer be able to stop us from making this world a peaceful place for everyone. This is what he said. This is what he said. He said, you will no longer be able to make this place and the people that are going to have the same power that I have, said you won't be able to stop us from making this world a peaceful place for everyone. So that's what's going on. So we're going to pause for a moment and we're going to be right back. Stay with us.